Welcome back to the CartHero Podcast. My name's Trent Fikes, co-founder of CartHero. I'm here with my e-commerce team, the rock stars that keep everything going. I've got Macy from our customer support, Brownie from graphic design, and Hope, which does our social. They work with me on my e-commerce brands, and then now they're also transitioning into working with me on CartHero. And it's super helpful to have them on the podcast and helping them kind of share the journey and what goes on behind the scenes. So glad to have you guys join us this morning.
Glad to be here.
Thank you.
Welcome to the podcast. So we have a little bit of business to take care of first thing this morning because
Here we go.
yesterday was kind of an interesting day. I got back from lunch at the office and realized that my zipper of my pants had been down most of the day. And this has happened. This actually happened not long after Brownie started with us.
Yeah.
You want to tell that part? Let's go back like, what's it, two or 3 years ago now?
Oh, yeah. And I had only worked with you for about maybe a month. But so where we were set up, we were in a older warehouse and we were doing some renovations. So actually my office was one room with Trent and also his wife, Peyton. So we had 3 desks in one office space. But, oh my goodness, I guess Presley was a baby at the time because Peyton didn't always make it in at the start of the day. And so Trent comes to work, and I promise I did not notice that his pants were unzipped. I did not see it. So I'm sitting there with my back turned, working on the computer when Peyton comes in and they're talking, and Peyton just blurts out, "Oh my gosh, Trent, your pants are unzipped." And Trent was like, "You could have texted that."
Yeah, like just blurt it out.
So then I had to be like, "I promise I didn't see it. I promise. I didn't even notice."
So ever since then, we kind of made which of course Brownie's gotten more comfortable over the years, and she said like, "Hey, in the future, I'm just gonna tell you." Like,
yeah.
So, but it was kind of funny. Yesterday, I got back from lunch and I realized that my zipper had been down all day. And so I announced it to everyone because I was like, I'm going to get the awkwardness out of the way. So I just announced to the whole office, like, guys, I just realized that my zipper's been down and I'm super disappointed. Brownie was she was gone yesterday, and Hope was out getting a new computer. So she wasn't there. So there was just a couple of other of us that was in the office, but Macy was there. And so I hollered out like, "Hey guys, like I'm sorry, my zipper's been down," and I just now realized it. I don't know if you guys noticed it or not. So Macy's, I can hear her in the other office, and she's like, "Well, I did notice it. I'm sorry, but I didn't tell you."
I couldn't say anything.
So she let me go all day with my zipper down. So
You should have like sent him a message.
I should have.
Yeah,
just
just like
hey, just to let you know.
nice little base camp
Or sent
Slack.
Aaron a message and told Aaron to do the dirty work.
I could have.
Be like,
Could
hey,
have done that.
We could have told the whole office and then you.
Or maybe you could
At least I
send.
didn't go spread it around.
Yeah.
That's right.
What if you
Now
sent a
it's on a
message
podcast.
to the whole office and said, everyone might want to check their zippers?
Not to point anyone out.
Oh gosh, would that have y'all would have immediately panicked if y'all got that message?
I did not have on pants with a zipper, which makes that so much better because I know it couldn't have been me.
I don't ever wear pants with
I
a zipper.
either.
That's funny. Well, cool. Well, there's just some little office humor for the day. So we took just to go ahead and jump in, we took the first 2 episodes of the podcast to kind of carry you through my journey from, starting an e-com business that was, began as a side hustle to now becoming a 9-figure e-com owner. And then on the second episode, we talked about kind of how that transitioned into us building CartHero and how CartHero is helping other e-commerce owners build their funnels. But now it's time to, now that we've told the backstory and what CartHero is all about, it's really time to kind of jump in and really just nerd out. And it's not always going to be just me and this team on the podcast. I'm going to bring other people that I know in the industry, other people that are highly successful. We're going to get them in on the podcast, and we're going to share as much value as possible. First, before we jump in, I want to talk about a couple, I'm going to call them house rules. I talk about this a lot, and one of my biggest things is that information will do you zero good unless you're willing to take imperfect action. And so what I mean by that is for example, like starting this podcast has been imperfect action for me. It's I've always been behind the scenes. I've built my own brands. I've worked with other people, helped them build their brands. I've consulted. I've helped tons of our CartHero and AppTrends users, but I've never really shared publicly my way of doing things and how I operate. And that honestly is kind of uncomfortable for me, kind of being on the forefront, sharing what's working for me. So this is imperfect action for me. And I say that because I know that, or I feel like these first couple episodes of the podcast aren't going to measure up to what this podcast is eventually going to get to. Because I know that if I continue to take imperfect action, these episodes are going to get better and better and better. And then one day I'm going to be able to look back and be like, wow, like those first couple episodes were awful, but now I'm really good at this, and I'm going to be a rock star at it. And I'm excited about getting to that point, but I'm also excited about experiencing the journey of not being so good at it and then watching myself kind of evolve. So take imperfect action on what you hear from this podcast. Don't get stuck in analysis paralysis where you start consuming the content and you don't do anything with it. The next thing that I want to talk about is kind of the vision for this podcast. I want this podcast to be beneficial for kind of people in all areas of e-commerce, whether you're just getting started, you're trying to get your brand off the ground, or if you're an established brand and you're ready to just take it to the next level. So there's going to be multiple times throughout this podcast that you probably are going to feel like we're talking about a lot of basic stuff. And there's going to be nuggets of some things that I'm actively seeing and learning specifically about being a nine-figure brand owner. But I also want you to know that no matter where you're at, you can't get so caught up in thinking that, I already know that's basic. I don't need to focus on that, because truthfully, even where I'm at now, I'm still working on the basics, and I'm not too good to focus on the basics. And to be honest, the basics is what drives our success. And I truly feel like especially if you're a nine-figure or smaller, I don't even know the correct words.
Less than. If you've sold less than 9 figures, like you can get to 9 figures just by practicing the basics. And I know that. So when I wrote some of the stuff that we're going to talk about on the podcast comes from my book, E-commerce Simplified. And in part of it, I was talking about my favorite quote, which was from Michael Jordan. And I'm going to read it, but then I'm going to let Hope. It was kind of an interesting or funny topic because we were recording some videos.
Can I say my part before you read it?
Yeah.
So we were doing a video for Trent, and when you're doing like a video that's longer than a minute, sometimes you get hung up on a little bit of what you're going to say. And for some reason, this day was just, we were tired already, I could tell, but he got hung up on this Michael Jordan quote, could not say it correctly for the life of him. Like, I promise you, I need to find those old, like that video and just do an outtakes of it, because I'm telling you, it was probably 11 or 12. Just, oh my goodness, why can't I figure out what this says?
Well, by the time it was all said and done, Michael Jordan had done said like 30 different things.
Yeah.
All which made sense, but weren't quite right.
So his actual quote, and I really do like what he says here. He says, Get the fundamentals down, and the level of everything you do will rise. Oh, see, I almost couldn't
reading it.
Fundamentals.
Let me do that again. Get the fundamentals down, and the level of everything you do will rise.
You were saying, like, if you want things to rise, it's important to have fundamentals and basics around you or something. And I was like, hold on, wait, what did Michael Jordan say?
But just for me, like, just to relate this back to Michael Jordan and sports, like, and I grew up playing basketball, like that was my thing. And basically what he's really talking about is like something as small as free throws. All these NBA players and stuff, they go out and they shoot hundreds of free throws every single day. It's the easiest thing to do in the game of basketball. Like you don't have to have a whole lot of talent to be able to make free throws, but they practice it over and over and over. And how many times there's been games won or lost based on free throws, and like just how important it is. So I really love that, and I hope the Hope puts together a little sizzle of all the 30 different
Blooper
things.
reel.
Blooper reel.
I did read when I was trying to figure out which Michael Jordan quote it was. He was saying that the success is in some failure, and he has shot over like 9,000 free throws that he missed. And I was like, that's a lot. And he's one of the best ever,
Yeah. Yeah, and there's another one of his quotes where he talks about like how many like game-winning shots that he's taken and missed, and the reason that he's been successful is because like he's took so many, like everyone remembers the ones that he made, basically.
Right.
So yeah. Well, cool. Well, let's jump in and talk about today's topic. And today what we're going to talk about is the importance of your niche. And let's go ahead and get this out there that I'm probably, and everyone's probably going to butcher this word. I don't know how you guys say, what was the different options? Niche. We may end up calling it a knee by the end of time into this podcast. So I'll probably call it 3 different things. But we're going to talk about what is a niche and how to really unlock the full potential of it. And what I want to do first, I want to let Macy tell us what the definition of a niche is.
A niche is a specialized segment of the market for a particular kind of product or service, kind of like your target audience.
Okay, awesome. So basically, a niche it's really the customers that you serve. And what's important to realize is that, as a business, it's truly not about the products that you sell. It's really about the customers that you serve. And, that's really important in like every single area of your business, whether that be in, your customer support or your graphic design or maybe even your social. So what I want to do is I want to go around and I want to talk about how a niche is important in each different area of really y'all's expertise and what you do with Eternal Light and our other brands. So let's start with Brownie. So Brownie is our graphic designer, and I'd love to hear kind of your take on what makes a niche important for graphic design.
Well, I think it's very important. You're wanting products that appeal to a certain demographic. So you have to know that person that's going to buy your products. So with our sister company, Eternal Light, I know that our customer base is mainly Christian women, probably middle-aged, I guess is what I'm in that group.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would prefer to be called.
Yeah, I would say 30 Christian female, 30 to 65, conservative.
Yeah. So I am challenged with designing things that I know would appeal to them. And so one thing that we've learned is like they really aren't going to wear a white t-shirt. So I'm going to try to avoid a shirt that's going to be on a white t-shirt. Now we can get away with some lighter colors, but I'm just going to avoid white altogether. It doesn't sell. So it's a waste of efforts and money to push that on our store. Same with like, not going to use a deep V-neck t-shirt, not going to use fitted t-shirts, but the design itself, as a graphic designer, and I think a lot of people do this, you can adapt to the different variations of your audience. I can throw in some designs that look a little more young and contemporary, but I'm going to stick to a lot of the traditional designs, a lot of those key verses from the Bible that are appealing to that demographic. And also with us, like we're constantly changing and adding new designs, but I'm going to avoid certain holidays because that's not really going to be appealing to Christian women. They're probably not going to wear Santa or an Easter bunny.
Right.
We're going to focus on the Christian aspect of those 2 holidays. Not really big on Halloween; those aren't going to sell well. So it's a matter of just learning what your customers want to shop for. So
Awesome. Yeah, and just going back to what I was saying is it's we're not designing what we think they want. Like we're designing or specifically what they tell us that they want. So that's extremely important. So now I want to go to Macy, which is our customer support, and kind of hear her take on why a niche is important for customer support.
Choosing a category of people versus a product is very important because you need to know your customer. You need to know how to talk to your customer with kindness and compassion, know how to respond. Our customers are an older generation. They're not so tech savvy. Their emails may come across very short. They may get frustrated from not understanding how to use our online website. I have to be very understanding with them and help them even though they might not be so nice, and get them back to a point where they're happy and satisfied with our company. We have to know how to earn their trust, while we also have to trust our customers. With us being Christians, we have to hope that our customers are going to be very honest. So whenever they email us and they've lost their package, or they say that their shirt comes with a hole in it, we have to trust them that they really have lost their packages, or that their clothes, they didn't do something to damage their clothes, and be very nice and help them replace it. Earning our customers' trust is important because once they trust you, they might start to give you ideas. And since we've picked a similar group of people, chances are that they'll give us similar ideas. These might not be out-of-the-world ideas, just everyday ideas, but if they trust you, they'll be more willing to purchase those items from you versus another company, which will help to grow your business.
Mm.
Yeah, for sure. And I just remember this. I know that I talked the other day about telling this, but so Macy does our customer support now, and does a fantastic job. But like looking back to when we first really got started, my brother was he was working with us, and if you knew my brother, like he is the last person on planet Earth that probably should have been doing our customer support. Like he was probably 17, 18 years old guy. Like just what he did not fit at this time, I'm still learning about, our niche and who can talk well to our customers and help them with their problems correctly and know how to talk to them. So Colton really probably wasn't the best choice for customer support, but we were really just getting started. So that's what we had. And at the time we were working from a bedroom in my house. And this was the funniest thing. I tell this story all the time, and it would embarrass him if he knew I was telling this story. But so we at the time of Eternal Light, we sold a lot of solar cemetery decorations. So basically what it is it was a light up memorial that would go at a cemetery. You would take this plastic ground spike and put it into the bottom of the different pieces, and then you would push those down in the ground, and that's what would hold it up. And then it would light up at night, and it was just like it was a cemetery memorial that people would buy for their loved ones. Well, Colton was answering phone calls at the time that when customers would call in, and this man, I think he had bought one of our lights for his wife and had it for a while, and one of his ground stake had either gotten stolen or broke off or something happened. And so he called in one day, and it was early in the morning. I can remember listening to Colton in there answering the phones. I was in another bedroom in my office, at the time. But he picks up the phone, and the guy asked him, and I at the time, like our phone calls were recorded, so I was able to go back and listen to this, and it was hilarious. The guy starts the conversation off by saying, "Hey, I'm just calling to place an order for a steak." And my brother's like, answers him and says, "Steak? Like, we don't sell steaks here. We're a solar light company," and hangs up the phone. And when I go back and listen to this conversation, like I know he was talking about buying a ground steak for his solar light, but Colton thought he was calling and wanted to buy a ribeye.
Yeah. I'll place a pickup order, please.
New York
So
strip,
how
if you
would-
don't mind.
Yeah, how would you
Medium.
like that cook, sir?
That's funny.
But it's just like, just to relate that back to the customer support, it's knowing the different ways that your customers are going to talk to you, and knowing what their needs are, and and knowing that they might not explain things the same way that you do. So that was a really funny story. That's one of my favorites. Okay, well, next I want to toss it over to Hope and let her tell us. So Hope is our social media manager. She's managing our Eternal Light social, and then now also our CartHero social. So Hope, can you tell us about the importance of a niche with social?
Yeah, it's very important because, when you look at social media, there's a lot of different platforms, and when I post something, it could be the same post. It's going to do really well on Facebook, and then it might not do really well on Instagram. And a lot of that is because how you design and how you run ads and how you do those things is based on who is looking at you on those social media. So I have a lot more freedom on Instagram and TikTok and things like that because it's a younger generation of people looking at our stuff. But at the same time, we try to focus on Facebook a lot because our age that we were saying, 30 to 65, they're on Facebook. They're more apt to be in Facebook groups and, share your post and all those things. We also talked about this yesterday. They have a longer attention span the older they are. And so you can get away with having, a 2-minute video. Well, when you're trying to get somebody 18 to 25, it needs to be 30 seconds or under for them to even like it. But I think it also impacts the way we run ads because we're running ads right now of a video where we're really talking about the shirt design that we're wearing. It's kind of a small little devotional, gives them something, and they're really interacting with that more than just, hey, here's our buy one, get one free sale or whatever we're running at the time. So we're really seeing a change in that, and I think we're adapting well because we realize like what they actually want to see on their Facebook and Instagram. Basically with social media, you just want to make sure you're staying on top of things and you can kind of figure out the trends and what's going. But the good thing about our people is they are big advocates of us. And so if we can get them to share our content and our products, then that's really kind of where we succeed right there.
I think part of it that makes a big difference is we are Christians. And so what we're selling matters to us too. Like as a designer, I will admit there are some shirts that aren't really my style, but it doesn't go against what I believe. It's just not really the style, design that I would have in my closet. But for me, as a Christian, my work matches what my faith is based on as well. And so we're not trying to pretend, and we're not trying to like be somebody that we're not. I think that's important as business owners, is find that product, that customer base that you would belong to, because then you're not, I think people can tell the sincerity of our group, which is why I think our customers, they like us. They know that we're being sincere. And,
it's authentic.
Yes. And I think that's the same case if you're, looking to, like you addressed someone just starting out, pick something that you are passionate about too, so that you have knowledge,
Yeah.
So
Awesome. Well, cool. I hope that everyone has enjoyed kind of hearing the different perspectives, coming from, whether it be graphic design or social or even customer support, on how and why your niche is so important in each one of those divisions. Now what I want to do is I want to cover a couple highlights from both sides, whether you're just starting out your business or if you already have a business and you're really looking to unlock the full potential from your niche. So let's start with just starting out. So if you're just starting out, going back to what I said in the very, very beginning, is it can be so easy to, when you're first starting a business, to think about, which products am I going to sell? It's easy to get in that mindset of thinking that your business is about the products, when that's really a huge mistake. You really need to be thinking on who the customer is that you want to serve. So step one in picking your niche is going to be determining that customer group that you want to serve. And like Brownie just hit on just a second ago, is I really suggest, picking a niche that you have an interest in, or that you have some type of experience in. And the reason for that is that's going to allow you to basically be able to talk the talk and walk the walk, just like those customers. And like Brownie said, a lot of times, in specific niches, I feel like customers can see through and see whether or not you're authentic about things. Mm-hmm. And so like, for example, and we're going to talk more about, the pet niche in just a second, but that's like a tight knit community. And I feel like if you really don't care about pets and that's not really your thing, people are going to catch on to that. Mm-hmm. But if you actually love pets and you're into dogs and like into the different things, like you're going to be able to have that conversation. You're going to be passionate about it as well. So step one is going to be determining the customer group that you want to serve. Like I said, I suggest picking something that you're interested in or you have experience in. When you're picking your niche, in the beginning, it can seem like going very broad is the most logical route, because you're thinking, oh, like if I pick the pet niche, if I just pick pets, that gives me so many potential customers that I can sell my products to, so many people that I can add to my database. That sounds logical in the beginning, but when you're just starting out, you really need to be super laser focused. You need to narrow that niche down as far as possible. So what I mean by this is, continuing with that pet niche, I would even narrow it down even, a little bit further. So let's just say you want to be in the pet niche. Decide what type of pet you want your business to be about. Is it dogs? Is it cats? So let's just say you went with dog. I would actually even narrow it down a little bit further, and I'll tell you why in just a second. But I would narrow it down something to more of like a breed. So you might go from pets down to dog, and then all the way down to I want to serve American Bulldog owners. And the reason that this is so important is that you can speak directly to American Bulldog owners. Because think about this, like how different is your ideal customer on just like, let's just say you just went from pets down to dog. Like how different is the ideal customer from someone who owns a Rottweiler versus someone who owns a poodle? Like those are two completely different types of people. Even though like we do have a rare case. So Macy, girly girl in the office, mm-hmm. They own a Rottweiler. And then we have Aaron, which is, like hiking, backpacking man.
Right.
They have, what they have? It's a...
Is it miniature poodle?
Miniature poodle.
Miniature poodle. And its name is Cooper. Mm-hmm. And so... like,
he's precious. Shout out to Cooper. You're precious. We love you.
They don't really fit what you would think, but it works. It works.
And he loves Cooper.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I think that probably started out as Cicely's dog.
I would think so.
But I know that's a rare situation. But being able to speak directly to your ideal customer, again, niching all the way down to I'm going to serve American Bulldog owners is going to be so much easier than just saying I'm in the pet niche. So I hope you're following that. Step 2. So after you've just, you've narrowed down, you've picked a very narrow niche, the next thing you want to do is you really want to join the conversation. And the way that I suggest doing that is, finding out where your ideal customer hangs out. And there's a lot of Facebook groups for the wildest things. Like whatever your niche is, there's going to be a Facebook group of people that are interested in that same thing. So go join those, go join groups and get inside the conversation. And again, this goes back to, this is why I feel like it's important to have some type of experience or interest, because once you join these groups, you can now, like, these are your people. You can easily talk to these people. You can relate to them. And once you join these groups, you really want to start asking questions. So if you were using that American Bulldog, some of the different things that your customers like would be dog toys and, food and different things. So get in these groups and ask questions, find out, like do your research and find out, hey, what do these customers want? Where can I fit into the market? And, I say this in the e-commerce simplified book, but as entrepreneurs, it's easy to get in the mindset that to provide value to someone that we need to invent products, or that we need to come up with something crazy or cool or something off the wall that hasn't been done before. When really the easiest way to get momentum and to get going is to just provide your ideal customers with the products that they're already looking for and they're already buying. So jump in these groups and ask questions like, what's your American Bulldog's favorite toy? What does your American Bulldog enjoy doing? And really just start to learn everything that you can about this ideal customer. And we're going to talk about this here in just a minute, but go ahead and start gathering data about this. If you see someone posting pictures of, them with their dog, like save that photo to a folder. Really like turn yourself into a detective and learn everything you can about your ideal customer. And so after you have that information and you're starting to gather all this data and you're really learning about who this ideal customer is, step 3 is going to be creating your customer card. And I want to let Brownie talk about the customer card and what that concept's all about and why it's important. So Brownie, can you talk about that for a second?
Yeah, it's basically kind of identifying who you're talking to when you're marketing and when you're thinking about your products and stuff, all the way down to maybe even, and this was something Trent covered in his book, picture who that person is. Give them a name, give them like where would they live, what are their hobbies, what are they involved in, and that way when you are marketing, it is almost like you can imagine talking to that person directly, not just this broad, casting a huge broad net and hoping that somebody bites, but like directly talking to that person. And I do it a lot in my design work. I am fortunate enough to where I do see a lot of our products out, like here locally. If I go shopping, I see people in our t-shirts. And of course, at our church, I see tons of women. So I kind of have an idea of what woman is wearing this particular style shirt. But then I do the design work, and then I also do our email marketing. And so when I am working on an email, I imagine what my email would sound like if I was sending it directly to this character card. Mm-hmm. And for me personally, I do consider, there's a lady here in our community. Her name is Robin. I know that she has older kids, like her youngest is a junior in high school, and she has a new grandbaby. Robin is always so encouraging to me when I see her in public. She normally has on one of our t-shirts, and she normally says something about, because we often send out like a little devotional, and she's very encouraging to me as far as like, oh my goodness, that devotional really, really spoke to me the other day. Thank you for sending that. So now when I'm writing emails, there's a lot of times I think, well, what would I say to Robin today?
Yeah.
And so sometimes it's like, hey, I know life is so busy right now. You're probably at the ballpark, or you may be, running ragged, getting ready for graduation or Easter. You might have missed that we have a whole new section on our website. Mm-hmm. So I try to connect with what I think that particular customer, one singular individual, how it might impact her life.
Yeah.
So I think that's important too. In every demographic, you can just say, okay, what is this American Bulldog owner? Where do they live? What are their hobbies? How old would this person be? And I want to talk to that person.
Right. Yeah. What do they do for a living? The further you can carry that down and kind of paint that picture of your ideal customer, you're going to use that in everything. Brownie talked about using it in your emails and your design. Going back to, Hope with our video ads and everything. Like when we shoot videos, we use people like Brownie and Hope who fit that ideal customer. Mm-hmm. How well do you think our ads would work if we, pulled somebody off, looked like they've been in a crazy rock band, or it's just not going to fit. It doesn't fit the demographic. And when we shoot our ads, like we can put that ideal avatar on those ads that speaks directly to that person. And, you know, carrying it all the way back to customer support is knowing who you're talking to. You know, if you're talking to Kim, the dog owner who plays tennis and lives in a subdivision, the way that you talk to her is completely different than the way that you would talk to a old retired military man who's interested in guns.
Exactly.
Like it's just like a completely different conversation. So that's really the first 3 steps of, you know, picking out if you're starting from you don't have your niche and you're really trying to decide. And now what I want to do is I want to talk about really how you can unlock your niche's potential if you already have an existing business and you're really just looking to maximize its potential. And the reason I want to talk about this is because, and I fell victim to this myself, is that if you already have an existing business, you can sometimes get so married to the products that you already have that you lose sight on that you're actually serving these customers, that your business, again, isn't the products, it's the customers that you serve. So, you know, a lot of times I see people who have success with a certain type of product, and then, you know, something in the market changes and they don't have as much success with it anymore, and they just try to keep beating the dead horse over and over and over instead of looking at it and going, okay, here's what my niche is. I've sold them these products already. What else? What are they interested in now? What's changed in the market? What's changed in the economy? What's changed about the world that now they're interested in something different? And breaking away from these are the products that I sell my customers to, hey, let me go back and let me listen to what do you guys want? How can I serve you? And like I said, I fell victim to that myself. And really back in our early stages, I talked earlier about that we sold cemetery memorial lights. And actually how Eternal Light got started, I bought Eternal Light when it was one single, it was just a product. It was a light up cross that, again, was a cemetery memorial. And it wasn't an online business. It was a brick and mortar. It was actually a wholesale business that was owned by a family member of mine. And they invented the cross, and they sold it to flower shops. And this was back in probably the early 2000s, maybe 2005, 2006, somewhere around there. And they sold it to flower shops, and, you know, obviously everything started shifting to online. My family member, he was an older guy, so he didn't have a whole lot of experience online. So I saw the opportunity to take the business online. So I kind of acquired the single product from him and then turned it into a business. Well, we launched 5 or 6 other solar lights and started selling those online, and we did really well with it. We sold, thousands and thousands of these solar lights using social media ads and things like that. And it did really well, and we grew. But what happened was, at some point, it started to kind of, we hit our peak, and we weren't able to grow any further with that. And we started to actually see the business slow down because we had been pushing these lights for so long. And it finally came to the point to where I was kind of forced into learning this myself. It's like, I've been trying to push these solar lights for so long, I got married to the product instead of thinking like, hey, the people that are buying these solar lights, they are Christian women, back to that same demographic, the 30 to 65 conservative Christian woman. And so really, when I learned this, it was, I was kind of forced into it of going back and saying, okay, these solar lights aren't working. Let me ask the customers, what would they like from us? And so luckily we had a pretty good size email list, and a lot of people already following us on our social. So all we did was ask them, like, hey, like, what would you like to see from us next? And they told us what they wanted. And that was when we got started into apparel. And then now apparel is one of our biggest thing. And there's going to come a day, and we've already started widening that out. Now we have books and Christian gifts, and we have, our project devotions. And it's just, we now serve the niche instead of just selling them solar lights. So, I really just want to encourage you that if you're kind of stuck in your business and you're wanting to get to the next level, take a step back and look at it and say, am I married to my products or am I serving my customers? And once you do that, you can really just listen to the feedback that you get and find out exactly what they want you to do. So a big takeaway from that is, don't be married to your products. So married to it that you don't see the big picture. You serve your customers. You don't really sell specific products. All right, guys, I hope that you've enjoyed this podcast and us covering the topic all about the niche. If you want to learn more about that, you can check out my book, E-commerce Simplified. You can visit my social and you'll find a link to my link tree where you can find the link to the book. I will send you one for free. So hope that you enjoyed the podcast and we will see you in the next episode.